Hello, future people who are not on the live stream but are watching post show on the recorded version of the stream. Thanks for being here. We will get started shortly with the proper show. If I can find our channel. There it is. Now I shall tweet it.
Searching for the tweet.
1 second.
Oh, I got it. Don't you? I got to tag all you motherfuckers.
I have now.
So many Dons, man. Why are there so many Dons?
There's a million copies of me too.
Can't even find you.
What's their end game?
There we go.
Fake
I don't know,
Dons.
man.
All the fake Dons.
I mean, they're just getting like, I don't know, $500 or something, like every other day, probably from scamming people.
I fear their month.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're doing is they're running bots, right? They send these messages out, and then if you respond, it's an actual human. So they don't actually need that much time to do it. And then it's like for an hour work of time, they just scam people and it's worth it. Fucking sucks.
It's amazing. Just like, I don't understand. It seems like too much work, you know? For
Writing
what?
up bot and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Do you remember last bull run? We had the same thing happen, right?
Mhm.
On
Tons of
Twitter.
it.
And they made a bunch of money. Like after the bull run was over, people analyzed and they made a bunch of money. So it seems to be worth it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not worth it considering that you actually just sell your soul and fucking abuse not so smart people. But I mean, money-wise, probably worth it.
Yeah. All right. Should we get going with the real show?
Let's do it.
Dude.
Thanks for being here, everybody. We're, oh, man. Oh, well. We're going to do the whole, like, fade-in thing. You know how it works. Okay. Fade it out. Change. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Weekly Open. I'm Brian, joined by the whole crew this time. We got Luke, Josh, Don. We'll get to them in just a moment. First, I want to tell you about our partners. You know who it is. It's Blockfolio. Just go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. Check it out right now because you can trade from one asset to the other seamlessly and easily from a mobile interface with zero fees. And of course, they've got all the wallet tracking features you've always loved. You can track your portfolio, get the feel the FOMO of the trade over and over again as you watch your Doge drop 30% during SNL. And you can just regret your life decisions right there in Blockfolio. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. Download it today. Try it. Try a trade in Blockfolio. As much as we talk about Blockfolio, it's amazing to me. Some people still have not connected it in their brains that actually not only do you track your portfolio there, you can trade there. You can trade right there in Blockfolio. So go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio and try it. Luke, you're on the top of my screen. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. For all those people that are going to go out there and place a trade in Blockfolio, I'm starting to think maybe they should just hold ETH. They shouldn't even trade in Blockfolio. I do want them to try one trade in Blockfolio, but ETH is doing so well that maybe we don't need to trade anymore. You just buy ETH. Josh, what's going on, man?
That's a trade, though, right? Like,
Yeah, you're going from something else
you're right.
to
I guess
ETH.
you're right. That's a trade.
Everything you do is a trade. Sitting here doing this podcast with you is a trade. Walking outside later,
Trading,
that becomes
life
a
is
trade.
Trading
trade.
time.
Doing good. It was funny to me that people thought Doge would actually go up during SNL. I don't know.
Dude, in this new paradigm, I don't know what to expect ever. So
That's fair. Donnie, boy, you're back. How are you doing?
Okay. It's all better than expected, but still shitty, but is what it is.
Well, we're glad you're at least back with us, even if you're not 100% yet. And We're happy to talk about some markets this morning. We're starting with the Bitcoin chart here on your screen share, Don, but it's definitely not what's been driving this market over the last couple of weeks. But do you want to give us the highlights? What do you see here?
Yeah, TA-wise, we're at support, right? I mean, it's been choppy, terribly choppy, actually. So I wouldn't give too much about the TA on Bitcoin. It's just ranging somewhere in here. I don't think it matters too much. I think the altcoins are what are driving the market right now. It's pretty much retail now in the last few weeks, I think. So it's not surprising that TA matters less, and it's just gonna, like, the action is all in the altcoins, at least to me. So at support, I don't like it because the altcoins are going off. So I wouldn't want to be trading Bitcoin, and I wouldn't want to be long anyway, because I mean, it's so choppy that I could see it just chop through every setup that you get.
Yeah, I was going to say, as much as Bitcoin is boring, Ethereum is driving the market, but actually I think that is actually wrong if I try to say that, because what definitely drove this market past few days, few weeks, whenever it started, since April 27th when it broke out, Doge has just been on a brand new run, and topped right at the beginning of SNL at 69 cents at the minute the show opened.
Oh my gosh.
The meme is too good. And then ended the show at 52 cents, went as low as about 42 cents, I think. But might have found something, or maybe we're just starting to see now like the Doge distribution. Before we dig into markets that all of us care more about, because I think we're all just kind of coping together on missing Doge in the large part of the trade. Do y'all think we're basically seeing the beginning of Doge distribution, or is Doge to $1, et cetera, programmed, if you will?
No, I think it's pretty. I would be surprised if it still goes to $1, honestly. I mean, it could. The market is completely nuts. But something that I like to look out for in bull markets in crypto is like just free drives up and then it just dies. And this is one of them, right? So topped every single time the same way. Have a spike up and then you retrace, creep back up, and then just go down, right? You've had it here, you've had it here, you've had it here. Something I've talked about before. And this is free drives up, right? I wouldn't want to bet on a fourth one. I'm surprised. Like, I was like, I don't even expect the third one, but I mean, it just looks like it might. And then it did. Expecting a fourth one is a lot, I think, because I mean, at some point, it's Doge, right? Hey, what are you going to do with Dogecoin besides holding it?
Yeah, I don't know. I Luke, do you have any additional thoughts, or you basically agree?
Yeah, less technical. And I mean, I can only predict this with like the tiniest grain of salt, because I certainly didn't think we'd go this high. I didn't catch this move. But just watching this like now and trying to understand the psychology of people that are still trading this, that are still long this right now, and that could potentially buy this if you really do think it goes to $1. It's like the value of a coin like this, where it's totally mimetic, it has to be going up for it to basically have value. Like, that's the volatility is the whole reason that people buy it. So the second it kind of stops going up, not only do you start to lose some of the people that are holding it, you lose that incremental buyer. Like, it's one of those weird coins where the higher it goes, yes, it gets more valuable, but that reflexivity like kicks in very fast to the downside as well. So like, as Doge has gotten higher and higher and higher, the amount of people coming in is more. But like, the second it stops going up, that incremental buyer is not showing up, because when they click buy and they're not in profit 30 minutes later, they're like, fuck this, I'm out. Yeah. And I think that Doge kind of gets in that situation pretty quick, especially if SNL was the catalyst to get us to $1. It's not. How many people out there are checking their Robinhood, refreshing that thing 1,000 times this week, losing money, and they're like, I'm out. I'm on to whatever the next 4chan or Reddit thing is. Yeah, I'm on to Shiba, or I'm on to whatever. I'm going to flip back to ETH. I think that's going to happen pretty quick. But at the same time, like, this is the most insane bull market I've ever seen, and the most ridiculous asset
I think
I've ever
what
seen in my life.
I
So
think
it's
what
like,
the biggest hint is that right after the show or within the day, some company announced that they were paying SpaceX in Doge to send their satellites to the moon, and like that's a real company accepting Doge as a currency for their product and service, and it gave it enough for a dead cat bounce, and that was it. But like, what else could you possibly want other than like Elon Musk? And you know, it was brought up in the monologue by his mom, and then you know, it was instantly being sold. But then in Weekend Update, it was a proper like, let's talk about Doge shill, and ended up calling it a hustle. You both can't ask for more, and also it's like as toppy sentiment stuff as you can possibly imagine. Followed up by Doge being used in real life. I don't know what drives this up further. How do you hype it more?
I don't think it's catalyst. I don't think it's catalyst that drive this thing anymore. I think the number has to keep going up, and it has to keep going up fast.
That's just that's a House of Cards Ponzi, and it just did that. It did that to the tune of 100x or whatever.
Sure.
It's like a what is it? A shark? What is that metaphor with the markets? The shark has to keep swimming.
Yeah,
they do. I think they actually do.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Yep.
The daily Doge also has a bear div. The monthly Doge RSI is 99.9, which I didn't even know was a thing. And I think ultimately it's just a rotation play for anybody who's like smart about it. If you 10x'd it from half a penny or whatever, 100x, whatever, you know, it doesn't even matter at this point. But what is the probability of another 2x, 5x, 10x from here? I think it's virtually zero based on where it came from. So you have to ask yourself, would I rather be sitting in this or literally holding anything else, right? Like that's another part of this conversation for people who are actually like smart about it. You're going to have the Robinhood traders just holding it and losing all their money, but I think most people are going to look at this and start to think, okay, I'm going to rotate a percentage of this out of it, 50%, something, get my money back, right? You got to do something because you're right. This is going to topple quick. It's going to leave a lot of people underwater extremely quickly. And I mean,
I think our audience probably gets it, so we might as well.
Just so I understand, Josh, you're saying rotate into a very strong fundamental coin like Shiba, right? That's where you're going.
Yeah, someone actually asked me in real life about SafeMoon, and I was flabbergasted because I was like, how are these people hearing about this stuff? I guess TikTok?
Instagram too.
Instagram? Yeah. It's just like, I barely heard about this a couple of days ago, and you're asking me about it, someone who's new to crypto. It's just so bizarre.
I was asked about it by someone before I knew what it was, and then that day, it absolutely was when it blew up on Twitter and stuff. But it's because we're late. We're like we're the laggards on Twitter. It starts on TikTok and stuff. Let's skip through Doge, any further Doge trash, because our audience is smart money and they want to
go up.
They want to talk about this parabolic advance on Ethereum.
Do they?
I've drawn a parabola. The parabola is official. It's got 3 touches and it's now in the outpacing the parabola mode, which we've all seen this play out before in crypto. My parabola, until it goes like 100% vertical, ETH could basically ride this to like 7K.
7K, get out of here.
Sounds insane, but
this is the same argument I just made for Doge, right? Like, what are the odds that this is 2x, 3x, whatever, versus anything else? You know,
I think for ETH it's higher.
For ETH, it's way higher. ETH has been underowned relative to DeFi. I do think ETH is due for a pullback because it hasn't stopped since 2300. It's had 3 down days, and the only one of consequence was after a turbo candle. It retraced about a third of it. So, the weekly ETH candle is vertical. The 20-week moving average is at 2K, so it's 100% away from its 20-week. Josh and I were just talking about on Friday about how one of the signals of the how do I take profit is when you either wait until it breaks down from those kind of fast moving averages on a weekly time frame, or when you get well beyond the distance from a fast moving average on a weekly, 150% is very dangerous for the asset because it needs mean reversion, and mean reversion could include you getting wrecked. ETH is getting to that point, but it doesn't mean it has to stop right this moment. I think ETH needs to consolidate. It probably won't just like turbo dump. I think the hot ball of money, Don, y'all have been talking about that, and Cred brought it up on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and I can't get it out of my head. Seems like that hot ball of money is going to roll around a bit once ETH does settle down. So you'll get some spikes down and then rotation. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised. ETH just looks so strong to me, and it's been that way for a while. Now, it doesn't mean it has to just keep on running, but I mean, it could, and I wouldn't want to stand in the way of that, right? It makes no sense to me. I mean, this is completely crazy again. It's even crazier than what we've had from 300 to like 1.5K, even more so given that ETH is so large now. But then again, like when you have like Three Arrows Capital just completely go nuts on the shilling of ETH, I mean, why would you expect anything else, right? I mean, they went on like 3 podcasts and talked about how bullish ETH was, including mine, and yours too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't want to be countering that. I think it's a little bit crazy to expect like 2x's, 3x's at that point, like at this point, even
Thank
more
you,
so
Don.
given.
Thank you, a voice of reason.
I mean, you're looking at look at the ETH BTC weekly chart, right? I mean, if this 3x's, right, it makes new all-time highs, and then I mean, we start flipping Bitcoin, right? And I mean, I think we're too early for that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but even if it's going to happen, I think we're too early for that.
I think
I could see.
What's interesting though is it did do what we all anticipate, or at least speculated, and what I hoped would be the outcome is that the 0.055 magnet would be like Bitcoin at 6K, where it actually just drills straight through it and then overheats right into that next lower high from the prior bear market, like where that bear market really kicked off. That's where that 0.084 is. That was kind of the complacency failure back then, and it's currently in no man's land, right? You don't really do anything with that on a relative basis. So you're looking for hints otherwise. If it does fall down, it'll probably get picked up well before 0.055 as a retest.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it retest that, honestly. I mean, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just goes down a little. But in general, it's just a bullish chart, right?
Yeah.
And
we've also had 8 green months in a row. This is an aside. Yeah. That's a fun one on the dollar chart. Eight green months in a row. That's insane.
Let me see that. Yeah, this is just mental. That's just completely mental.
Like that's.
Are you calling a TD9? Is that what you meant?
TD9 into 10K. Pump it.
Oh,
I will be happy to sell anything above the 2 or the 1 year moving average multiplier. I can share that too. But
yeah, y'all should be able to override each other. By the way.
Okay, so. I'll just sorry, portion share. Okay. Yes, we talked about this a bunch, but the green line here is the 1 year MA. The red line is 5 times the 1 year MA. Not a lot of data to backtest this historically, but if you look across everything and look across Bitcoin, backtesting lines up pretty well at calling for. It's a way to quantify the 20-week SMA, 200% above it. Just be calling for mean reversion, showing overbought, using this as an oscillator, saying, okay, we're a little too hot right now. We're getting toppy. So I'll be happy to sell anything above 4 or 5. If it gets to 10K, I'll be happier to sell at 10K. I think starting to long up here, or like expecting, we could get this or we could get this, right? This is only an N of 2, and we could get a consolidation, which is what Ledger keeps mentioning, which is what this was. And then we go again. But in any case, I'll be selling anything above this.
I think that's probably where that consolidation will start. I think it looks a lot like that 2017. Like the impulse goes farther. Like farther than anybody expects. Like, I was the type of moron entering as it was getting above that red line in 2017. You know, like,
you were the exit liquidity.
No, I bought my first ETH at like $100 after it 10x'd from from $10, which that was the Coinbase listing. Everybody thought that was dumb, and then it went to 400, and I was like, crypto's easy. I just doubled or tripled my money, like in a week, and then it consolidates for 4 months. And I think Ethereum's all signs point towards something similar to me.
Crypto was easy back then.
Maybe it still is. I mean, look, guys.
If you're on the left side of the curve on this cycle, you are outperforming all of us.
Yeah, for real.
I think that the problem that we have is like we were on the left side of the curve back then, and then you've
now
spent
we've
like
middled
3 years.
Ourselves.
Yeah, and now we've middled ourselves, and we just can't get back to the left side, and we're not smart enough for the right side. So.
This is the pain of my life.
You mature from like pre-degen to degen to trader to understanding risk to seeing bear markets to understanding what like massive gains and losses actually is. And then when you see stuff like Doge and me with ETH, it's like, man, all I see on this chart is downside. I just see massive potential downside, whereas you guys, Ledger is talking about like 10K, which is fair. Like, don't get me wrong, it's bullish. It looks great. The cloud looks great on ETH. Let it flip BTC. Like, I don't even care about any of that. It's just, man, I get very nervous when I see this. I'll also mention ETH BTC on this pitchfork. It's getting in the danger zone, similar to the buy support that it saw on the opposite side. Now, this is an N of 0, so it could just shoot right through this. But when it's this far away from the rate of change mean, I guess you could say, it gets a little overbought up there, and the R5 is also there. As
a counter to that, though, like if you look at a monthly chart, and I realize it's absurd. I feel like Don talking about monthly charts here, but breaking above 0.035, 0.036 or so, that was the one impulse candle, and now we're in the like true big breakup. It is at resistance here on a monthly basis at 0.07. But prior like super duper insane monthlies on ETH BTC give it leeway to get all the way back to like 0.1 or even above on that monthly basis. Everything that's ever trended in this market so far has overextended massively, like well beyond what we anticipated. And ETH,
that's crypto.
Yeah, it's just crypto. And like ETH right now is, sure, it's overextended relative to, normal stuff, but in crypto terms, I don't think it's overextended yet.
What I'm having like a really hard time, Ledger, with that chart is now that ETH's above 0.04, right? We haven't done this in 3 years, except for early 2018 or that last true alt cycle where ETH got to 0.15, 0.1, is if you're holding ETH now, like even if you do think the dollar goes much higher, let's say you do think it goes to 5K and 10K, I think those are both possible. Definitely 5K. Like the question is, ETH just spent 3 years ranging between 0.02 to 0.04. Is the new norm for ETH like the next 3 to 5 years? Are we just assuming that new norm is like 0.07 to 0.1? Like, is that going to be the new range, or is ETH going to have this perpetual increase versus Bitcoin because it's now going to become a deflationary currency? It's like, I don't know. Like it's very hard to, all the evidence would say that ETH is probably going to do a lot more ranging over a 3 year period than it is just an uptrend for 3 years straight. But I don't know, that's kind of the bigger question for me.
Nobody's thinking on that 3 year period. It's like, what can it do for me?
I'm trying to, now that ETH is just damn valuable. It's like, what do I do with this stuff? Should I just keep holding it, or
it's super valuable? And as you mentioned, the 1559 stuff. Now this, I do believe this is starting to be priced in, but for a long time it wasn't. And it's the impact that has on new supply of ETH is enormous. Or at least the simulations. So the bear case is, the simulations don't hold up in real life. Like people,
it breaks.
Not that it breaks, but like it doesn't act the way they anticipate once you build in this new fee structure and stuff. And we'll just have to see. But if it follows the estimates, then the supply of ETH is going to be cut. The new emissions are going to be cut by like 90%, which is insane. Like, that's insane. So, yeah, it changes the narrative on ETH after years of ranging, and all-time highs relative to BTC are not out of the question. And that's, but that's hard to match up against like it needing a pullback.
That's what I'm saying. There's just no data that we can go back on and say, all right, this is how he's going to behave now. It's like, that's a new norm, but we'll see. Don, what's up?
I mean, like, the crazy part about it all, right, is that ETH's been ranging for 900 days and just broke out like a month ago. Like, I mean, I have no idea where this goes. I don't want to be bearish it because, I mean, I really don't see a reason to. But like, if you think about it, right, it's ranged for 900 days and then saying it's close to topping after it's rallied for 2 months.
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy. And then agree. Also thinking about like flipping Bitcoin is also crazy, right? So it's like, I have no idea. The market is crazy. And this entire, like, just looking at this chart, I would expect it to make new all-time highs because that's how bullish this chart is. And then anything beyond that point, no idea. And like, but it's really difficult because it's getting really close to the flipping, and I don't want to see the flipping happen. So I have no idea. I'm kind of.
Wait, is it getting close to the flipping? That's like 0.15, 0.17, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a 2x away. That's nothing in crypto.
At this rate, we're getting there.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. Just let it happen. Get it over with so people stop talking about it.
What if it happens and then sustains it though? Just like what?
Well, it's just weird that BTC is doing really a bunch of nothing. I mean, it's just languishing here despite metrics looking favorable. I guess we could point to the daily cloud and say this is expected because basically the cloud MAs aren't bullish yet. And we just expect this to do a bunch of nothing until that changes. But it's just a bit weird to see, like, especially the opposite direction stuff, to see ETH going up and BTC going down. That is bizarre to me.
That's typically, I hate to say it because I don't think we're there, but that was end of cycle stuff, end of 2017, early 2018. It just objectively was. I mean, ETH, that's when ETH USD was making all-time highs and ETH BTC was going parabolic.
Wait.
Bitcoin was done.
What was Bitcoin doing in April 2017?
No, I'm talking end of 2017. I'm talking like, so December. January 2018, January through April of 2018, when ETH is at 0.11, that's when the ETH USD was at 1,500. I mean, Bitcoin was done by then.
Oh, yeah. But I feel like that was more rotation, right?
That's what I mean. I don't think we're over yet, but that's the only data point we have. Like, I just think it's a completely new market. It's different this time, as they say.
I will agree. It's not the ICO stuff that's pushing us. It's definitely DeFi related, no doubt. Yeah, I don't know. It just makes me uneasy to see ETH that close to that multiplier, just so overbought. I know EIP 1559 and all the other stuff. It's just
EIP.
It's rough because if BTC can't hold its own, then that means everything just goes down together, and I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Okay, so they did, Bitcoin and ETH did kind of stop around the same time. That was June 2017 when Bitcoin hit like 28K, or 2,800 rather. And then that was basically when ETH stopped that huge parabolic move when it went to 400.
Yeah.
Around the same time. So they did move together on that, and ETH outpaced, and then they moved down together.
Yeah. So I'm saying the ETH all-time highs come after basically Bitcoin had topped. Is all I meant by that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of DeFi is just underperforming right now too. I think the scams are sucking the liquidity out of the room.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, Ripple used to do that. I mean, now Doge does it, but people forget Ripple did that many times, kind of like that 2017, 2018, when Ripple would go on those massive runs. It's like the rest of the market didn't have enough juice. Like everyone was just focused on Ripple. Now Doge is doing it.
Doge or whatever flavor of the week TikTok coin.
Yeah, but the volumes on Doge, I mean, they were like 32 billion 24-hour volume the other day, and that wasn't even the high. that's like, I mean, I think Doge had more volume than Bitcoin internationally for a couple of, for at least for like a couple of sessions. That's the retail money, the amount of retail money that includes is just truly insane. Like the number of people in my actual life talking to me or having awareness of Doge is truly stunning. And I feel like an idiot because I'm like, don't buy Doge. And then it's at 5 cents and now it's at 60 or whatever. It's like, oops. You know, like, I underestimated that.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah. It's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And I think the big question there is, will it even flow to other stuff or will it just leave the market? You know, that's the real question about continuation.
Yeah. The question that I have is like, we have retail, basically almost all of retail that we're going to get in, at least in the Western hemisphere, I think, kind of have them in now, in garbage, like Doge, SafeMoon, all that kind of shit. Like, what is going to pull the entire market besides, like, I mean, ETH's been doing well, but what is going to pull the entire market up, if not them, right? Usually you have like retail come in and then buy the top, right? But they've been buying Doge and they've just completely skipped Bitcoin, right? So who's going to buy the top this time? If you have like most of retail, or like, maybe I'm just underestimating it, but basically everyone that I know has approached me, asking me about crypto, what to buy, like where to buy, all that kind of stuff. Like almost everyone that knows that I'm in crypto has approached me. So I'm like, okay, who's going to buy the top this time? Well, have they already? And we're just kind of in the altcoin moon cycle of this cycle, basically, which is usually, like Luke said, at least in my opinion, the end of it.
I don't want to be all maxi, but if Robinhood switched to sats instead of whatever they display now, I bet that Bitcoin would start to do well. I think the integer bias is that strong with people who aren't into this.
People certainly think that they missed Bitcoin. That is like on the lips of every person that I talk to about crypto. And I think that gives strength to Ethereum in a way, like it's 4,000 versus 50 something thousand. That's the way they think about it. And Doge even more so, and other crap like Ethereum Classic just got freaking tons of volume. And I hate to say this too, but like Robinhood has a control over the legacy apes, like, which is where the dumbest money comes from currently. Like they're not onboarding to, or like they are, but they're not onboarding as much to like, crypto native exchanges. It's harder. Their money's already on Robinhood because they all aped Tesla and crap last year. And now they're like, okay, well, what's the crypto stuff that's there? And it's freaking BSV and BCH and Doge. It's like the worst pile of crap. So what I say, because we're not here just to cope, if Robinhood has half a brain, they'll list some DeFi projects and stuff. And that is where it doesn't matter if it goes 20% immediately. You ape that trade immediately if Robinhood starts listing DeFi or whatever they determine to list. I can't imagine what they would list other than DeFi. But if you see like Uniswap and Aave and stuff like that start to hit Robinhood, certainly that provides a brand new leg for.
But don't you think like they have very little incentive to do so, because like people are buying
because it ruins them,
right? They don't. And like the thing is, like, people are gonna buy Dogecoin, all that kind of stuff, and with the DeFi stuff, there's much more regulatory stuff to keep in mind, right? So it's like, why would they? They should. I completely agree, and I mean they're gonna get their audience wrecked, but I mean realistically, why should they kind of put themselves out there and jump into hot water when they can just sell Doge and make money that way?
I don't know that it increases their regulatory burdens all that much. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but if the way Coinbase is doing it, it basically gives a avenue for anybody else to do it, in my mind.
Yeah, it gives them a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But still, right? I mean, retail's been kind of focused on all the meme stuff, and that's kind of been the entire theme of the last year. Has been, okay, any kind of meme has come to reality, right? And anything that's not a meme is not done well. It's kind of fuck. I mean, the world's just fucking crazy right now.
I mean,
No one, like anyone above 100, like anyone below 120 IQ and above 80 is just not gonna get what the fuck's happening, I think.
I mean, GME is still 150. Like, we talked about Doge holding at 100 sats, but like GME is still 150. That is just insane.
That's just the greatest distribution ever to me. Like, I don't understand how that's happening, but that is just a distribution chart if there ever was one. Don't you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't hold this. I mean, it's done, right? This is the same argument I'd make for Doge as I'd make for anything. Like, you can't, the move is done. The elevator, the train left the station, whatever you want to think of it as. You can't hold this up here. Even if it goes up to 200, 300, like, that is nothing compared to what it's already done, you know? And it's just, even if you're trading this on low time frames, this isn't a chart that I would want to jump into at all.
Well, can I share with you guys, at the risk of mockery and shame, can I share you my favorite chart in crypto?
Do it.
You can. Dixie also dumping today.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, I have to qualify. It's relative to Bitcoin. I'm charting this relative to a boomer coin that goes sideways only. So versus
Basically the dollar.
versus ETH, it's not near as impressive. But the coin that I can't get my eyes off of is Wi-Fi. And from a, like, cleaning up their act, blue chip, great developers, all the things you want to say. I feel like it really accomplishes these criteria, and the unit bias is a big problem here, like for getting the apes into it. But from a pure Bitcoin relative chart, this is my absolute favorite setup in all of the world. Like, you've got the impending cross between the 20 and the 200 day. You've got the price moving out of consolidation and above the 200 day. This is just like full breakout mode type of trade to me that makes me think it's going to 1.5 Wi-Fi per BTC. And when I look at the dollar pair, it's just been this incredible, like, quasi vertical accumulation, but just refusing to impulse. And I feel like we are imminent to have an impulse on this dollar pair. And I think once it does, it can create a true parabolic, like, to six figures quickly. And I trust this going to six figures faster than I trust Bitcoin going to six figures. And they're the same price. You know what I mean?
But it's got the same problem as BTC. Like, the integer bias just isn't there, right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to let that get in my way.
I know, but I'm just saying, objectively, like, you're right. It is the same price, and it has the same issues that BTC is going to have.
So incredibly, and maybe Don gets attracted to it with this chart, but when you look at this versus ETH, it's a pretty ugly situation, right? Like, you say, well, maybe this is just going to go down to the lows. It really needs to sweep the prior lows to be bullish, but, like, there's so much trade, there's so much meat in there that I can't help. And it's hard to chart something against something else that's parabolic. So it could keep going down, but I've just found myself adding to Wi-Fi every day. Like, I added to Wi-Fi while we were on this call.
Shell.
Go ahead, Don.
I mean, I actually like the Wi-Fi chart. Like, I had a bunch of Wi-Fi actually. Sold it a while ago because I didn't want to have any added stress of holding anything that isn't that is a trade basically. But I like the chart. I still think, like, let me actually screen share this.
Yeah, go for it. I'm only screen sharing right now because somebody's Discord is showing.
Oh.
the no LARPing channel.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's not me. But yeah, I'm looking at this, and I feel like Wi-Fi for a while now. It just looks like it hit support and it's gonna go for resistance, right? And I mean, that's a decent trade there. And I took it for a ride. Had it from, like, 0.7, I think, ish, all the way up to here, and kind of had to sell it. But I mean, I still think there's a good chance it goes to resistance, so I don't mind it. Don't even have to get any other chart involved. I mean, it just looks like in the range play, basically. And I mean, that resistance is still like 40-50% away. So
that's essentially the, like, what I would call the hopefully easy mode trade. And looks cleaner than most other charts that I follow. Like, some of the ones that I really wanted to do well, I still want to do well. Like, they're still lollygagging relative to BTC, much less like getting freaking wrecked versus Ethereum. Like, I keep watching Curve. The weekly chart was looking extremely good, but it faded the weekly, and now it's just kind of in no man's land relative to BTC. Relative to ETH, it's basically failing its pattern over the past couple of weeks, and it's just like can't break out versus the dollar. And this, like, you compare Curve to ETH, it just looks like it's failing a inverted head and shoulders, which would be continuation in the reverse direction, which is very scary.
But if
you on the dollar, look at that.
If you're convinced that DeFi has another leg,
then it should
want to be rotating into stuff when it looks like trash, right? Like,
yes.
You just want to start dollar cost averaging into that.
When I look, and that's,
chart, right?
But it's painful to like have any exposure to these when they're sitting here going sideways versus the dollar, while ETH is just like moving like crazy, you know?
But yeah, but you want to get ahead of the game, right? You got to, if you have conviction, right? Then what is the market gonna? The market's wrong, right?
I don't know that. I don't think the market demands conviction. Right? Like,
no, I'm saying you as the trader. Like, if you think Wi-Fi is going to have a run, who cares what it does against ETH in the near term, because you're convinced it's going to do otherwise, right?
Sure, I guess so.
You know,
short-term pain, potentially medium to long-term gain.
100%.
Yeah,
I agree.
I just like that
it's a good setup, right?
Yeah, I like the setup.
That's the thing.
And
because if you, sorry,
no, I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
No, I think in general with these things, you can't worry too much about getting outperformed by Doge or ETH or whatever. I don't think that makes much sense. If you get like a good setup and you're like, okay, I get a good setup on this, if it's speed, Wi-Fi or anything else, where it's risk defined, I know exactly what to do. I mean, that's worth much more than just buying in the middle of nowhere for something else, even if that's going to outperform you, right? Because, I mean, if it doesn't, and if it goes bad, I mean, you know what to do with Wi-Fi. You don't know what to do with ETH, for example. I mean, and it's an easy trade-off, in my opinion. Just being a trader sucks sometimes when you see yourself get outperformed, but I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah. Yep. It gets really challenging though to do this constant. What's it look like versus USD? What's it look like versus BTC? What's it look like versus ETH? And that triple comparison and trying to find, you know, you're trying to be the best of four if you're making that trade, right? And ETH is telling us after a long time of being the one that was the painful one, now it's like the one that just goes ham all the time. So how long do you basically just hold on to that trade, you know? Where are you looking for to profit taking, Don? I know Josh was talking about MA multipliers and stuff like that, but how do you look at this in terms of when you would want to start rotating out of ETH and into something else?
I mean, that's the challenging part. I mean, there's no, like, usually I try to do it with just technicals, but I mean, there's nothing left, right? It's just at all-time highs. It's just gonna go, I mean, it's just went mental, and I mean, it could go even crazier, right? So anything that you sell before the top's in, you're probably gonna sit there being like, fuck, I sold way too early, right? And then after the top's in, it's gonna go real quick. So you're gonna be like, fuck, sold too late. So I don't think there's a good like target to be set. Like you could say, okay, 5K is a round number, 10K is a round number, those work. But I mean, the best thing, and I've kept saying this for Bitcoin, it's true for ETH as well, I think, is, I mean, even here back in 18, you got the complacency bounce, right? And yeah, you take a haircut of like 40% if you're aiming for that, and you're gonna sit through a shitload of pain on the way down. But I mean, that's the best place to sell an investment in ETH, I think. And then as a trade kind of thing, you get the same thing on lower time frames, right? So if you look at the top on ETH USD on the lower time frames, you got the exact same thing on the lower time frames, right? So you got a top and then you crash and then you get a complacency bounce. And I think that's still the place to sell. Macro wise, that was back in 17, 18. This was the complacency bounce, and then you obviously had one in the micro term in here, and it's going to be the same in here. I think the fact that we're going this parabolic, I think it's going to just lead to the same thing, and I have no idea where it's going to top out. So just watching for that.
We've even had like those Rari alpha, like all the random DeFi hack stuff going on. It like hasn't even affected the market. Like gas has exploded every once in a while, but the market doesn't even care. You know, it's just like nonstop all-time high scams, and like the market's like, yep, sounds good, let's go.
Here's a fun one. If you did a wick to wick fib extension from 2000 to the all-time high retest back to 1287 or so, where the parabola that I drew started, the 4K was the 3.618 fib extension, and the 4.618 would be about 4,800. So if you're trying to use something like this, and you can see it danced between like the, under the 1.618, people do use these fibs for trying to find targets. It's always absurd in crypto, like talking about the 4.618, things like that, but crypto is absurd.
Well, ETH has a history of that.
Yeah, yeah. So that puts you at from, tip of the dip up on that fib extension around 4,800. So if you're seeking where do you go, that might be one of the ways you do it. I was getting shaken out of this market earlier today. Like it looked toppy on low time frames. But what is interesting, every time that happens, it's just like the bid just like comes directly in,
What do we even start to rotate into though, right? Like if we think the dollar's actually trash, what do you rotate into? Like Louis Vuitton bags, like what are we doing?
Yeah, it depends on what your aims are and where the funds are. Like, are you trying to protect the gains on a dollar basis, or are you trying to have a rotation trade to outperform? Those are different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I'm excited for the bear market, stablecoin interest rates, to see where those go. Those should go down, right? If we're not as bullish, but just excited to have that opportunity to like do something with stablecoins.
Yes and no, right? Like in the prior bear market, tons of people didn't really believe it was the end of the bull market for like 6 months or more.
Yep.
So I have a feeling if you have conviction, hey, this market is toast, and the price is telling you, like John showed the complacency bounce type of situation, you could probably extract yield from the market for quite a while after it's over, if you're right on that.
Right. Yeah, and a bunch of other zombie coins look good too. EOS kind of hasn't moved yet. LTC is pushing all-time highs. LTC BTC looks great. ADA BTC is at multi-year highs. All this stuff I don't even like talking about. But
yeah, it looks like Litecoin. So when we interviewed Charlie Lee on our show, Litecoin was retesting its all-time high close, and it looks like it fully retested that, and then it's just pumping like mad now. So that's based on a weekly Litecoin close, and it retested it in a 4-hour or daily format. But now Litecoin's in its first week of price exploration. So sitting here at 400, I mean, is Litecoin about to go to 1K?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding like Litecoin moves, EOS moves. Like technically, yes, the EOS and Litecoin Bitcoin charts, I get it. They're just catching a small pump, but I don't understand what's driving money there. Is it just people look at ETH and say, okay, that made dollar all-time highs, like these coins can too? Like what drives someone to log in and buy Litecoin? Because it's not giving you like the meme gains that Doge does. It's not really that
name recognition from 2017.
Too. Yep.
Yeah. Just enough people know about it, and they're like, everything's going crazy. Let's see if Litecoin can.
It is a warm body that is listed on an exchange, and that's good enough.
It's just,
I mean, the thing is, right? Imagine this: you had some money in crypto in 17, 18. You lost a bunch. Maybe you even still have it, and it's not worth anything anymore. And then you go to Robinhood or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, this is pumping. I want to get something." Right? What are you gonna get? You're gonna get the stuff that you already know. And I mean, on top of that, I mean, there's only trash really on Robinhood, right? So I mean, if there's limited kind of offering, and then you know some of the stuff, and you see, oh, this is cheaper than Bitcoin. I mean, I think that's where a bunch of this pump is coming from. It's actually interesting that Litecoin is performing decently well even against ETH.
I was just going to say, I actually like it based on the MA multiplier. I actually like LTC over ETH here. As crazy as that sounds.
It looks better, I think, too. Yeah, just from the potential upside of things. I mean,
right.
But yeah, I mean, this hurts me to see because this is one of the other ones that I sold because I was like, I want to have less stress in my life. Now I have stress because I sold it 40% ago.
Y'all know what else outperformed ETH?
Lumber?
Ethereum Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Ethereum Classic was at $12 at the end of March. Retested its 200-week moving. You know, I just talked about that daily 20 and 200 cross as a sign of a breakout on Wi-Fi versus BTC. Ethereum Classic versus the dollar on the weekly was a prime example of like breakthrough, consolidate, and then lift off. And it's 10x'd. Somebody the other day asked me, they were like, should I get rid of my long-term ETC bag? And I was like, bro, when are you ever going to get a chance to unload this sucker? In a better example than that. I was like, yes, you should definitely get rid of it. You can take it as financial advice if you want. I don't freaking care. It's unbelievable to me. Like that is it's so, that coin has been 51% attacked several times. And I don't think it has significantly greater security today than it did then. So, you know, this thing's going to get 51% attacked and dump like 30% in a day here before too long.
Saw a wild statistic on ETC. I think if you want to deposit or withdraw from Coinbase or whoever supports it anymore, it takes like days because they have to wait for that many blocks.
It's like 10,000 confirmations is what it requires.
yeah.
Literally. I'm not even kidding.
Multiple days for your withdrawals and deposits to go through.
It's unbelievable.
It's like a wire.
Yeah, it truly is.
I mean, that's just bull market, right? And I mean, you got to love it and you got to hate it, I think. Because, I mean, the thing is, we see all these scams just go completely fucking mental and say, shit, here we go again. But then again, our scams are doing the same. So, I mean, I'm not going to complain. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to stomach, I feel like. When you see like shit like, what's it called? The new Doge coin?
Shiba.
The Shiba, yeah, fucking hell, man. It's just so obvious, just a money grab, right? But that's crypto market. Like,
I heard they're adding smart contracts. Could be big.
While we're on the show, like everything catching a major bid, and
I know I was about to say that Bitcoin even
essentially just washing me out of the trade that I had. I closed along at break even. I should probably freaking relong at max leverage now because this is what happened to me on ETH, right? I manually closed one out before the daily close, and then it just turbo pumped 100%.
You know what's actually bouncing today is Coinbase. We were talking about this on Friday, but the Coinbase chart has been like highly correlated to BTC, inverse correlated to Doge, that kind of thing. And it's at 285 today.
Yeah.
So it's doing quite well.
Finally catching a bid there.
Yeah.
Tech stocks probably bouncing back. I'm curious before we do wrap this up, I really want to know your guys' like level for Bitcoin that we get above that you actually think this thing, the boomer coin, the 4X coin right now, can start moving again. Is there a line in the sand for you guys, or it's painful to look at?
Mine's the same as it was last week, and I had positioned myself. That's why it's funny that it basically moved $1,000. Right, like this happens to me every time I stop myself out. It goes like it went $200 or $300 down further after I stopped out because I was right on like a 15-minute time frame, and then it just turbo pumped $1,000 back to where it was. I had said on the last show, I was like, I really shouldn't be doing anything until this has a daily close above 59K because I'm just going to get chopped up until then. So yeah, my level is basically 59K or so on a daily close. to me, that is a straight shot to 63, but that's only $4,000. What's that, like 8%? But honestly, I don't think it just goes to 63 and stops. It probably goes to 70 or 80K if it gets that close. So that's what I was trying to position myself for.
Yeah, for me, it's 61 still. I mean, it's pretty close now. It's been that level for a while, but anything above here would be bullish, I think. So 61, go to 70, 75, whatever. Until then, I mean, the more kind of action you have on the altcoins, the less bid you're going to have for Bitcoin. I'm surprised we're even seeing this much while like ETH is going so crazy.
Yeah, like that ETH bit dump got bought up so bad. It's already 4,200 now.
I think by June 1st, we're going to know whether or not we should have been rotating into BTC or not. I think regardless of what price looks like, because it's ultra mega chop right now on low time frames. And it doesn't look spectacular on high time frames. But by June, I think by June, we'll either know if like this is all a top or we're going to like, 5K ETH plus 87K BTC, stuff like that.
Yeah. I've seen this in legacy markets where, people who are looking at everything else and they're just like the everything bubble. This is all kind of obscene, but tops take time, basically type people. And they don't see like all the flow beneath Bitcoin, like Ethereum and all the altcoins and everything. And their analysis on this is that Bitcoin is essentially forming a top. Like it's rounding. It's like this rounding, topping process. And I do think it's going to be tricky because it could go find its liquidity or whatever above 63K, like go to 70K and then get sold off real quick off of that as people try to, then rotate out, use it as an escape valve, but that just creates like the opposite, right? It ends up ground hogging or whatever you want to call that, prairie dogging.
Yes, that is the technical term. Yes,
is it?
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it, but you know what I'm saying. Like that's the type of price action that totally could mark a top. Like it just spikes up and then dumps. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I like one more leg. I like the top on ETH is closer than farther away. I like one more leg for BTC at least. All the metrics are still soft for BTC and ETH as far as like being super overheated. Top. Ideally, we make some local top in Q2, consolidate in Q3, and then go again in Q4. I think that's what everybody really wants to see.
Yeah, Q4 run would be really interesting. I mean, my broader narrative is I have no idea what's happening throughout the year, but I imagine there's going to be a rotation trade somewhere at all times, because I actually think this market's going to have like a mini bear market start close to the end of the year, because I can't imagine how there's not contraction as taxes come due, like the calendar year plays out, because everybody's up so much this year, Yeah,
I mean, we could also get another stimulus this year too. So
how?
I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, what are the possibilities here? Yes, taxes.
The latest thing I've heard is that restaurants and stuff are now closing because they can't get people to work there.
Oh yeah, supply chain on virtually every level is messed up, including retail, restaurant supplies, microchips, all this other stuff, right? Like everything is completely bonkers right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for today.
Well, we've been on for 55 minutes. We didn't really do much of a what do you want to watch. Josh, I guess you and I both just did. Luke and Don, y'all want to give us a what are you watching for the week to close us out?
Don, I'll let you start.
I mean, for myself, like I've just today basically started looking at charts again. So I'm personally just getting back into it. Don't want to make any grand calls. Gonna have more on that on Wednesday on my stream. Nothing right now, just based on the fact that, I mean, I've looked at Bitcoin, how it's been trading, and at ETH, because ETH's just been mental. And I mean, ETH, I think, is probably going to continue to go mental. And then everything else, no idea.
I mean, let's see if I can share this. I mean, it's crazy to say. I'm not calling a top at all on ETH. I do think, as I watch this, like I'm definitely not opening any new longs. But 0.07, 0.08 region has kind of been the line of sand on ETH for me that I would just expect it to at least slow down, take a breather maybe. We're kind of right there, right? Based on the monthlies, that last kind of local high we had, 2018, this was like peak alt season, when ETH hit all-time highs. I almost think I think it'd be great if he can take a little 20% dip back to the 0.06, 0.05. I think that would be incredible. That's the most ideal scenario. It gives me a reason to like get excited about buying ETH again, as opposed to like the buy and pray method, which is working right now. So, I don't really want to do the buy and pray thing this week. That sounds like tiring and stressful. I'd rather do like this is a nice setup and I get a chance to buy it. So if that happens, I would love it, but more just watching. Certainly not trying to call tops.
Luke, do you think that money rotates to DeFi if that happens, or is it going to be that situation where like it all dumps and then ETH bounces faster as it recovers?
I think either way, like it would look like a rotation, right? Like even if things were kind of dumping dollar-wise, like it would, since ETH takes a breather, just the DeFi coins that are even trying to tread water against ETH would do well. Like the YFI, the charts that look good, I should kind of clarify. Like YFI, I think would look great. I think things that just have a great narrative and have great traction right now, like Rune, which are only gaining momentum, I think that would do very well. So yeah, I think the strong DeFi coins would benefit from that. I don't think that'd be the end of the bull market at all. I don't think that'd be like doom at all. I just think eventually like ETH takes a breather, or even if it's like a 1 day breather, I think that 0.05 to 0.06 dip would just be incredible. And that'd be based on the level that everyone kind of had drawn in their charts that we blew right past. That's the retest that would be kind of beautiful. So I'm not saying it has to happen. I don't think it'd be the end of the bull market. Don't want to call it top, but if I'm looking at like a scenario that gets me excited, that's one of them. I would love to see it.
Yeah. The giveaway on this seems to be that the leverage like apes really missed a lot of this move on ETH. Like funding has not yet gotten totally out of control. It's starting to look a little more concerning funding wise now. But that was probably our dead giveaway, that like it was like it moved up and the funding still wasn't there. And maybe that'll be the sign that it's ready to chill. So maybe I'll just be watching funding and see what happens. Yeah, sounds good.
It's a great time to rotate into junk that looks terrible. That's my ultimate take. There's still some stuff that hasn't moved. We didn't talk about Melon USD, just to throw out some random ticker, but stuff like that has like a breakout potential.
Didn't that rebrand away from some Melon? Is that just the old ticker?
Melon to Enzyme, yeah, but Melon's the old ticker.
Oh yeah, Enzyme, yeah. There's
Melon more.
Who knows? I'd love to see that rotation because those are way easier for me to trade. Like than what you said, Luke, of just like jumping on this moving train and hope it doesn't stop while you're in the air.
Yeah, this isn't a trader's market right now. This is an ape Robin Hood buy and pray and tell your friends at beers. This is like this is a buy and pray and enjoy the ride. This isn't like let's plan a trade. So
congratulations.
When that comes back, it'll be fun.
Congratulations to everybody that's been able to stay embedded in this market with your diamond hands. Stick with us with Blockfolio. Weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. You can trade there today. You can capitulate into ETH, jump on that moving train, do whatever you need to do. Give us a rating. Subscribe on YouTube if you don't. If you just look for our tweets, that's not the way to do it. You need to subscribe and hit the bell and all that crap that Luke's better at saying than I am. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for being here. See you guys.